If you want generational wealth, you don't need more stock picks. You need to understand why businesses get stronger every year, even when they look expensive. Because compounding isn't magic, it's physics. And rails are the companies that turn compounding into a law of nature. Today, I'm going to show you the 4 forces that make rails compound. And if you learn this, you'll stop getting emotionally bullied by price. This episode is part of a wider series called The 2 Economies. In episode 1, we covered ticket tourism. Episode 2 was looking at rails versus product companies. This is episode 3, where we cover why rails compound. Because if you understand why, you stop guessing. Quick map so you know exactly where we're going. First, I'll define compounding the way owners mean it. Second, we'll look at the 4 engines rails have that products usually don't. And thirdly, the traps that make men miss rails. And at the end, you'll get a scorecard to apply this analysis yourself immediately. All right, let's define compounding properly. Most people think of compounding as the calculator, right? 10% per year for 30 years and blah, blah, blah. That is not the thing. Real compounding is structural. It means as the business grows, it gets easier to grow again. We see it all the time. A company can grow and get weaker. More customers, but more churn. More revenue, but lower margins. More attention, but more competition. That's not compounding. That is treadmill growth. A rail grows and becomes harder to replace. That is the difference. Now, here is the core of today's episode. A rail compounds because of engines. If a company has 2 of these engines, pay attention. If it has 3, it's dangerous. If it has 4, it can dominate for decades. Engine 1 is scale, not big company scale, but real scale, meaning the more volume it runs, the better the economics get. Costs per unit drop, efficiency rises, and the rail reinvests more. This is why rails can price aggressively and still win, because scale turns competition into starvation. Engine 2 is network effects. This is where most people get confused, so listen. A product gets value from the company. A network gets value from its users. When each new user makes the system more useful, that is a network effect. And that is why rails start behaving like gravity, because you don't need to persuade people to join. The system naturally pulls them in. Engine 3 is switching costs. Now, this is the silent killer. Switching costs is not the price of staying. It's the pain of leaving. You have to think, what breaks if you remove it? What workflows collapse? What systems stop talking to each other? What training gets wasted? What compliance risk shows up? If leaving is easy, then compounding is fragile. Rails don't win because people love them. Rails win because leaving is irrational. And engine 4 is trust. This is the one retail ignores because, well, it's not sexy. Trust is reliability, trust is uptime, trust is security, trust is being the default. Trust is simply being allowed to exist. And trust compounds because trust lowers friction across the system. It lowers customer resistance. It lowers adoption risk. It makes partnerships easier to form. It makes distribution cheaper. Trust is not marketing. Trust is infrastructure. Now I'm going to show you why smart people still miss this. There are 3 traps to be aware of, and if you fall into any of them, you will keep buying the wrong kind of business. Trap 1 is saying it's too expensive. Rails often look expensive because the market can see the engines. A rail can look expensive for years and still be the correct place to sit. Trap 2 is confusing a great product for a rail. You love the product. Your friends may even use the product. The company is growing. But switching is easy, so the compounding is fragile. And trap 3 is thinking growth equals compounding. It doesn't. Growth can be bought. Compounding is when the business gets stronger as it grows. So here's the practical tool. Using a scorecard, pick any company and score it 0 to 2 in each category. Scale. Do unit economics improve with size? Network effects. Does each new user increase value for other users? Switching costs. Does leaving create real pain? And trust. Is it the default, the certified, the relied upon system? Total score out of 8. If you're looking at 6 to 8, you're probably looking at a rail or a proto-rail. 0 to 3, you're probably looking at a product business that's just simply fighting on the surface economy. And this is exactly how you stop getting fooled by narrative. You stop debating feelings and you start scoring systems. Look, if your goal is about agency, about sovereignty, about having time and location freedom, it has nothing to do with hunting the next exciting chart. You get there by owning compounding infrastructure. Next episode is episode 4, called The Gates. Because a rail isn't just an abstract concept. It passes gates you can actually test for. Non-optional usage, flow taxing, embedded switching costs, reinforcing networking effects, regulatory survivability. That episode will make your analysis brutally clean. Here's what I want you to comment. Pick one company and score it out of 8. And write down 4 words only: the scale, the network, the switch, the trust. And if you're done being a ticket tourist, subscribe. Episode 4 is where we turn this into a real filter. I'll see you there.